Picture Renaissance Florence, a city awash in opulent gowns, fiery art, and men sketching wild inventions well before brunch. Enter Leonardo da Vinci, dreaming not just of lifting spirits, but of lifting mankind by building a corkscrew so colossal it'd scare pigeons into a diplomatic incident. Legend claims Leonardo invented the helicopter centuries ahead of his time, long before anyone worried about danger spinning blades signs. But let's deflate that myth. Leonardo's famous aerial screw looks suspiciously like a four-man chorus line squatting under an oversized pasta noodle, trying to sprint skyward. Think of it as a helical rotor, a twisty fabric cone meant to grab air and spiral upward. Spoiler alert, it was less Top Gun and more toppling gun, duck and cover. Leonardo's notes reveal curiosity. Maybe this works? Far more than conviction. This will end traffic jams forever. Here's the buzzkill. Leonardo never built or flew this whirligig. Modern engineers crunching the numbers concluded his canvas and reed contraption would have lifted about as effectively as a sumo wrestler wading through quicksand. If flight means several bruised humans trapped under a collapsing tent, then bravo! Florentines breathed a sigh of relief that Da Vinci never launched it. You try scrubbing canvas blobs off a Medici fresco. Despite the hype, Da Vinci's copter remains as grounded as a Renaissance teen caught sneaking out after curfew. Still, the sketch wasn't just doodles on parchment. It lit a spark, inspiring generations of inventors who finally built helicopters that truly defied gravity without needing four burly Florentines to wind them up. Sometimes, great art just waits for science to catch up, centuries, and a few bruised egos later. Da Vinci's machine never soared, but his imagination soared beyond anything in Florence, even the pigeons. While Da Vinci's helicopter remained a visionary sketch, Nikola Tesla's quest for futuristic weaponry took a more electrifying turn with his famed death ray. If you had $1 for every time someone claimed to have invented a death ray, you'd probably have about $5. Because let's be honest, everyone just credits Tesla anyway. Nikola Tesla, part wizard, part mad scientist, and full-time loser in patent battles, is forever tangled in the myth of the death ray. Some say he cooked up a weapon so powerful it could vaporize enemy squadrons, fry an egg on the moon, or at least perfectly toast your neighbor's marshmallows from 500 yards away. The tale goes that Tesla invented his teleforce as a peacekeeping device, a clever way to end war by threatening to vaporize anyone who started one. Allegedly, it shot charged particles with enough oomph to knock airplanes from the sky, and maybe even empty your cab fare straight out of your pocket. Alas, for those dreaming of a real-life laser cannon, the only shock from Tesla's so-called death ray was the bitter disappointment that it never existed. No prototypes, no blueprints compelling enough to loosen J.P. Morgan's famously tight purse strings, and definitely nothing that would make Thomas Edison duck and cover. Picture medieval peasants slogging through mud, caked in filth, smelling like a gym locker. Most historians agree the death ray lived mainly in Tesla's vivid imagination, and occasionally in the fevered minds of conspiracy theorists and folks convinced Wi-Fi is out to get them. Yet the myth endures. Pop culture, internet forums, and sci-fi blockbusters just can't resist a good ray gun fantasy. So, if you're hunting for a real death ray, Your best bet is science fiction, or maybe that microwave that sparks every time you nuke leftover spaghetti. Otherwise, Tesla's Teleforce remains the hottest weapon that never was. From Tesla's imagined beams to ancient incendiaries, the story moves to Greek fire, a powerful weapon whose secret formula was lost to time. Step aside, dragon breath. Byzantium's Greek fire didn't just set ships ablaze, it left enemies wondering if sorcery had somehow landed a patent. If medieval people really hated water, someone should have relax, it's just my artisanal flaming oil. Ask any armchair historian, and they'll swear Greek fire was the original napalm. Top secret, devastating, and famously able to burn on water like science took a vacation. Legend has it was so stubborn, not even Poseidon's soggiest tantrums could put it out. Naturally, the formula was guarded tighter than Grandma's cookie recipe, only to disappear like rogue socks in a dryer after Constantinople's fall. The reality? Greek fire was as real as Byzantine tax collectors, and just as feared, but the exact recipe? Murkier than the bottom of the Bosphorus. Scholars and pyromaniacs alike speculate it involved naphtha, quicklime, sulfur, pine resin, basically everything your homeowners association would forbid in your garage. Modern attempts to recreate it range from scientific triumphs to spontaneous barbecues, yet none quite capture that medieval fireworks show. Maybe the great secret was less sorcery and more shoddy medieval note taking. With quills and parchment, add 2 cups of resin, easily morphs into avoid 2 cups of raisins, and boom, there goes your war machine or your dessert. That legendary aura, part spice, part myth, and all wrapped up in the smell of burnt timber. In the end, Greek fire remains history's original DIY project that definitely lit up the neighborhood, much to the horror of Byzantine fire marshals everywhere. Just as Greek fire's mysteries elude us, the Antikythera mechanism reveals how advanced ancient technology might have been, resembling a primitive futuristic device. Imagine stumbling upon a 2,000-year-old gadget that's more complicated than your uncle's remote control, or dare I say, the coffee machine at your local hipster cafe. Such a marvel exists. The Antikythera mechanism, pulled from a Mediterranean shipwreck in 1901 by divers probably hoping for shiny coins, this corroded bronze contraption looked like Poseidon's pocket watch. Instead, they uncovered what some flamboyantly dubbed the ancient iPad, or the world's first computer. If only it had a cracked screen and a low battery warning. Let's burst this bubble before historians start overheating. The Antikythera mechanism couldn't stream Netflix, wreck your productivity with Candy Crush, or even serve as a fancy paperweight. Nope. The wedding? Held at a French chateau with fewer guests than a British barbecue in a rainstorm. Even the cake was hush. The marriage was morganatic, a word fancy enough to make your scone dry up, meaning while the fallout? Family drama for the ages, PR headaches, and a monarchy wobblier than a Sunday trifle. Yet, against all etiquette and odds, Wallace and Edward became the ultimate trendsetters. Who knew scandal could be so chic? As gossip columns gushed, they proved you can lose a kingdom and still top the best dressed list. Love's worth a really nice palace, dragons or not. Amidst the turmoil of such secret alliances, whispers spread that Anne Boleyn wielded dark powers to influence King Henry VIII. Did Anne Boleyn really brew more cauldrons than court in? If you lean into the juiciest Tudor gossip, she was less queen consort and more Hogwarts dropout. But legend has it that Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, the Pope of Plain, invented cornflakes for an unexpected cause to curb people, especially the young, from spicy self exploration. Yes, cornflakes, the original Netflix and chill interrupter. Dr. Kellogg wasn't just any doctor, he was a Seventh day Adventist with the dietary enthusiasm of a celery stick at a BBQ. He genuinely believed bland food was the best firewall against carnal cravings. Picture a world where breakfast once sizzled with bacon and sausage, only for your doctor to swap it all out for a fistful of beige flakes and a side of silent judgment. Who knew cereal could be so disapproving about your private life? But Kellogg's crusade went far beyond breakfast. His poor patients endured strict regimens, no meat, vats of yogurt, and almost religious zeal for nuts, and fun, recreational fun, was strictly verboten. Cornflakes weren't just easy on digestion, they were supposed to be the ultimate weapon in his holy war on impurity. Yet fate had them other plans. Sincerely, not your friend. The truth, literacy rates were low by today's standards, but still surprisingly vibrant beyond the cloister. Turns out, sugar was far more tempting than his sermons. Cereal may not have saved souls, but it sure transformed mornings, making them, if not holier, a heck of a lot sweeter. Now that's a conversion worth waking up for. Building upon societal attempts to control behavior, Victorian miracle medicines promised not just purity, but miraculous powers. Step aside, Superman. Victorian pharmacists were dishing out liquid courage that made even Marvel heroes jealous. While we chug coffee for a jolt of productivity, our 19th century ancestors downed tonics with a bit more punch. Society obsessed over health, yet stocked its shelves with what looked like a mad scientist's playground: cocaine toothache drops, heroin cough syrups. You're not misreading that. No need to adjust your monocle. Myth. Many Victorians truly believed these patent potions turned ordinary folks into tireless dynamos. Feeling sluggish? Pop Dr. Smith's nerve rejuvenator. Nope. There's a bottle for that. Maybe two, if your follicles were particularly rebellious. Grow wings, erase wrinkles, send your nerves on a vacation, all with a daily dose. Facts. The secret behind these miracles? No subtle secrets here, just a cocktail of opium, cocaine, chloroform, and alcohol. Move over, Red Bull. Victorian cures literally gave you wings and a side of hallucinations. Advertisements screamed louder than concerned doctors, often backed by glowing testimonials and the era's version of celebrity endorsements. Didn't break a 4-minute mile after your tonic. Clearly your dose was too tame. Punch. Nothing screamed self-care like an elixir that made you forget how bad you really felt, even if it occasionally required pausing to count your extra toes. Bridge. Eventually, the fun police, aka regulators, crashed the party and slapped down laws to tame the madness. The magic bottles lost their mojo, and kids hopped off the cocaine fueled hamster wheel at a saner pace. She didn't stop at forged documents. Her confidence could have launched 1,000 ships, or at least several bizarre lawsuits. If you had $1 for every from potions granting superpowers, we turn to music's eerie effects, where Franklin's glass harmonica was rumored to unhinge the mind. What if I told you Benjamin Franklin invented an instrument so spooky people thought it could scramble their brains? That's right. Long before electric guitar feedback or overworked Spotify playlists, there was Franklin's glass harmonica, a bewitching contraption made of spinning glass bowls that looked less like an instrument and more like the dessert tray at a ghost themed dinner party. And yet, legend has it, its eerie tones had adults wondering whether to keep listening or check into the nearest asylum. Here's the scoop: 18th century folks genuinely believed the glass harmonica could make both listeners and players lose their wits. Imagine delicate fingers gliding over moistened rims, conjuring sounds so ethereal you'd swear a poltergeist had joined the orchestra. Soon, stories swirled of musicians struck down by mysterious ailments, dizziness, nervous fits, sudden urges to waltz, and most alarmingly, claims of outright madness. Medical experts of the day, wigs perfectly powdered, wagged their heads, blaming everything from evil vibrations to overstimulated nerves, or maybe just too many late night sonatas. Apparently, Franklin forgot to slap on a warning label: may induce spontaneous waltzing or existential dread. Here's the twist: the real culprit was likely lead poisoning from the glass, or a particularly jumpy band of musicians being, well, easily spooked. There's about as much hard evidence linking the glass harmonica to musical madness as there is proof that founding fathers time traveled. So, despite the melodramatic tales, Franklin's glass harmonica never replaced therapy. Thank goodness. Honestly, if spinning glass bowls producing otherworldly tunes doesn't drive you a little nuts, commuting in colonial Philadelphia surely would. But hey, at least no one ever demanded Freebird. Finally, from instruments that affected sanity to secretive superweapons, the legend of the Nazi bell epitomizes science fiction mingled with wartime myth. Imagine if the Nazis had whipped up a time traveling blender. Welcome to the legend of the Nazi bell. Picture a top secret bunker where mad scientists in shiny boots cackle over a contraption that looks like someone mashed a church bell and a space age espresso machine. This, dear reader, is Die Glocke, the World War II gadget, so mysterious it never made it onto late night QVC. Harsh? In a dryer after Constantinople's fall. The reality? Greek fire was as real as Byzantine tax collectors, and just as sounds high tech, right? The only things missing from its resume are international peace facilitator and breakfast toaster. Given that, its disappearance from the Allies' war trophy list almost seems suspicious until you actually hunt for proof. Here's the scoop. After World War II, some imaginative researchers stitched together tales of the bell, blending post war jitters with Cold War paranoia, and zero engineering diagrams. The original sources? A Polish journalist, a handful of obscure authors, and an endless echo of rumor. No blueprints, no photos, not even a cryptic cowbell left in a Bavarian barn. As for what this not so humble bell supposedly did, stories run from anti gravity flights and interdimensional jaunts to everything except making toast, which it seems wasn't a Nazi priority. Real Nazi R&D delivered rockets, jet fighters, and an unfortunate legacy of horror, but magical time travel orbs? Nope. Nada. Zilch. Nazi super scientists, masters at spawning conspiracy theories, less so at crafting verifiable superweapons. So, why does this absurd myth survive? Because it's history with a superhero cape. No footnotes needed. If it actually worked, even the History Channel would finally run out of aliens to blame.